Ah,
Ini absen aja.
oh,
Salah.
online face-to-face.
So we have started our academic calendar
Ah,
since last week.
okay.
It's already online or
Yeah, on holiday until October.
So the new semester,
Yeah.
new semester started
October.
from October.
We just finished our exam. We finished our exam board last week.
Oh, I see.
So we are on holiday until October.
I see.
Mana mulai? Udah bisa itunya dicek? Udah aman ya? Yang dicek. Next. Berubah nggak?
Tak nampak di sini.
Oh iya. Ada apa nih?
Oh, okay.
It's working. Oke. Thanks. Mulai? Udah gimana? Oke. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Director of Strategic Studies and Academic Reputation, Professor Dr. Anuraga Jayanegara. The Honorable Deputy Director for Academic Reputation, Directorate of Strategic Studies and Academic Reputation, Dr. Muhammad Fakhrul Ulum. The Honorable Deputy Director for Strategic Studies, Directorate of Strategic Studies and Academic Reputation, IPB University, Dr. Alfian Helmi. And also the Honorable Professor Ramayah Thurasamy as our speaker today, in this evening. And also the Honorable Dr. Efi Yuliati Yovi as our moderator today. And all of the participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and thank you for your attendance. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Arlen. It is a precious chance for me to be your Master of Ceremony in this morning, Wednesday, 23rd of August 2023, in our event sharing session, How to Publish in High Impact Top Journal for IPB Students and Lecturers. And this event is proudly presented by the Directorate of Strategic Studies and Academic Reputation of IPB University. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, now we move to the next agenda. It is the opening remarks by Professor Dr. Anuraga Jayanegara as Director of Strategic Studies and Academic Reputation. So, Professor Anuraga, please, time is yours.
Thank you very much, Arlen. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. The Honorable, our invited speaker, Professor Ramayah Thurasamy, our moderator for today, Ibu Yovi, and all the participants here. So, and also the MC, Arlen. Yeah. So we are really happy to host this event. Yeah. How to publish in top or high impact journals. Our speaker for today is Professor Ramayah. You can imagine his age index in Scopus is above 60, more precisely 64. And he will be introduced by Ibu Yovi actually. But just to convey our policy, yeah? So our university or IPB University, we would like to enhance our contribution in high impact journals. So far, our Q1 journals, our Q1 articles are approximately 18% from all the total articles. So we still have to work hard to enhance our Q1 journals. Yeah. For comparison, ITB, Institut Teknologi Bandung, they have approximately 33% of their articles published in Q1. And I think in Malaysia, it's very common, yeah, especially in top 5 universities, in the research universities like Malaya, USM, the alma mater of Prof. Ramayah, UTM, UPM, and Kebangsaan Malaysia. So therefore, we are really happy to host this event, and hopefully this will give all the participants insight on how to publish in high impact or top journals. So that's only of my opening remark, yeah, and hopefully all of you are enjoying, both of you who are in online and also those, although not many, I'm here for attending the event offline. So thank you very much. I give back to Arlen.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Anraga, for the opening remarks. So I hope the participants can get the motivation to give the full attention on this sharing session. Now we move to the main agenda in this evening, the sharing session with Professor Ramayah Thurasamy, that also will be led by our moderator, Dr. Efi Yuliati Yovi. But before that, I will make a brief introduction about Dr. Yovi. So she is listed currently as a lecturer in the Department of Forest Management, Faculty of Forestry and Environment, IPB University. She's also the editor-in-chief of Jurnal Manajemen Hutan Tropika, JMHT. For our information, JMHT is IPB's journal that indexed by Scopus Q3. So without any further ado, I would like to invite our moderator, Dr. Yovi, to start the sharing session. Dr. Yovi, the time is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Anuraga,
Okay.
Dr. Arlene. And then I'm very happy to be here, serve you as moderator for this session. So I would like to welcome Professor Ramayah to this last ground IPB Darmaga campus. So we have several campus. So this is Darmaga campus. And then thank you for attending today's sessions. This is the sharing sessions, how to publish in the high impact journal. This is for IPB student and also lecturer in IPB. And then before we going to start our session today, which will be carried out up to 10 this morning, I'd like to introduce our distinguished speaker. So we have Professor Ramayah Thurasamy here, and then he's a very remarkable researcher. His its index, means that his publication in Scopus index journal is 64 currently, and he is a professor in School of Management, Universiti Sains Malaysia, and then also he served as editor-in-chief of Journal of Applied Structural Equation Modeling. And Professor Thurasamy also renowned as SAM analysis trainer. So it is a very great opportunity to have him with us here. And also would like to greet the audience who join with us both in the offline here in this room and also online. I think we have around 43 audience join online here. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Efi Yuliati Yovi. Professor Nuraga already introduced me before. And then, as I mentioned before, this will be a very great opportunity for us to gain inspirations and refine strategies to enhance the quality of our research and to improve our ability to publish research findings in reputable international journal, especially Q1 Scopus, as mentioned by Dr. Anuraga, which is targeted by IPB this year. And then we know very well that scientific publications serve as a means of communication among scholars in the knowledge dissemination process. So therefore, publishing of research is of paramount importance. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have 30-minute discussions. But before that, we'll be treated to a diverse range of tips and insights from Professor Ramayah Thurasamy for approximately perhaps 50 minutes or less or more. Okay, so Professor Ramayah Thurasamy, time is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me. So what I'll be doing is I'll be sharing with you a bit about my journey as a researcher. I think maybe you can learn something from what I did right or what I did wrong. So I am. My name is Ramayah, and I'm from the School of Management, USM. I've been at the School of Management for 33 years now. I have another one more year before my mandatory retirement. Hopefully, the university will give me contract for a few more years. Currently, okay. So this is the current situation most of you are getting into, right? Okay. I think many years ago we don't have this pressure to publish, but currently even for postgraduate students, you need to publish at least 2 papers in Scopus in many countries. So the pressure to publish has increased. So because of that, we also have a problem with the quality of publication. I think many years ago we had a problem. So later I will show you the slide. Okay, how many of you are Superman and how many of you are Batman? I think if you are Superman, you won't be here, right? Yeah, most of you are Batman trying to publish. Okay. So this is publishing a paper is like a process. You need to go through many gatekeepers. So one of the requirement is when you design your study must be rigorous. That part, because we have different areas of research and different methods of data collection and so on, you need to design your study very well. And one of the requirements is you need to have an idea that is publishable. I see many, as an editor, I see many papers being submitted, especially from Indonesia. They are not well designed because when you write your introduction, it is not clear what is your contribution. That is the key word. What is your contribution? If you have a good contribution, then only the paper gets to review. Then the review will decide whether the paper is publishable. So the process is quite long. It may take about 1 to 3 years in good journal. 1 to 3 years in good journals. Not so good journals, maybe 1 week, you get congratulations, right? That is something we want to avoid. Okay, this was a paper published in 2019, which talks about this issue of publication. And if you see, Malaysia and Indonesia are top there, right? In terms of predatory publishing. Okay, so what happened was when the paper was published, our ministry got so upset. We had lots of meetings to discuss why many of our academics are publishing in paid journals. You know, today you submit, 2-3 days later they tell you congratulations, and then they send you a bill, $500 US or 1,000 US, right? Those are problematic journals. Okay, and after a while they forgot about it. Now we are back to the same problem. Okay? Everybody is paying to publish. So when I get my paper published, the first question anybody asks me is, how much did you pay? So we have already come to a stage that we think everything must be paid, which is quite strange, right? There are many journals which are free, but you need to target them. Okay? So you need to understand the different levels of journal. I think in Indonesia, you're focused on Scopus, right? But we have already moved away from Scopus. In Malaysia, it is Web of Science. This Web of Science. Okay. So my experience when I first started, this is my website. If you want to look at the courses I teach and some of the research materials, you can actually go to the webpage, www.ramayah.com. And when I first started, we see the evolution of academia was many years ago, we don't even question what is publishing, right? When you say publish, then there's a question mark, what is publish? And then we started publish or perish, and then publish in high impact journals or perish. And these high impact journals also, we have different understanding. In Indonesia, I was surprised. I was actually shocked. I went to BINUS, I think a couple of months back. And the title was publishing in high impact journals. To us, high impact means Web of Science. And suddenly the coordinator saying, no, Prof, here it's only Scopus. For us, Scopus is like a normal journal already. It's a high impact journal. So different countries have different connotation. And then now currently is published frequently in high impact journals, and maybe you won't perish. So this is the situation we are getting into in Malaysia. Okay, they are no longer interested in Scopus publication. We are actually tracking those who are publishing in Web of Science. Even the younger ones, they are actually pressured to publish in Web of Science. So when I first started in 1990, I started as an undergraduate student in the same school I'm serving as a full professor. Some of my lecturers who were teaching me actually were reporting to me. It was quite unpleasant because they were teaching me when I was an undergraduate student, and then they were reporting me to me and addressing me as professor. Although I tell them don't call me that, but they still want to do that. So 1983 to 84, I joined USM in 1984. Graduated in 1988. My first degree was Bachelor of Management. Many people think I'm a statistician. Everywhere I go, they think I'm a statistician. That is why I publish a lot. Because I'm good in structural equation modeling, that's why I publish a lot. You try and see. You try and see. Papers get published not because of the analysis. Papers get published because of the idea. You must have a good idea, and then you have good analysis. Coupled together, then you have better public. No? So from 1998, I was a tutor until I joined in 1990. I went for interview in 1998. I got my first job in 1990 after attending 8 interviews in the same university. Every time I attend interview, there was the same person asking me a question. Ramayah, you are here again. He has seen me 8 times, and finally they gave me my first job called tutor. I was very happy doing this job from 1990 to 1998. But what they decided was, after a while, they decided to do away with the post called tutor. In Malaysia, we call it tetap dan berpencen. That means after you retire, you get half your last drawn salary. But they decided that post was no longer available. So I was actually forced to do my master's. I never planned to do my master's at all. Okay, so in 1996, what I did was I started my MBA in 1997, finished in 1998, and then I went for interview in 1999, and that was when our TNC academic was interviewing me, and first question he asked me is, where's your publication? In 1999, we never talked about publication at all. Suddenly I realized if you don't publish, you will not prosper in your career. So I got that 1 year when I went for interview, I didn't get my promotion. Okay? I almost had a big argument with the Deputy Vice Chancellor because I told him this. The job spec that I was asked to do was anything that the Dean asked you to do. The Dean did not ask me to publish it. Okay? And I didn't get my job. Okay? So I was very unhappy for 1 year. In 1999, I went for another interview. This time, there was a different Deputy Vice Chancellor. He didn't ask me about publication at all. He said, Ramayah, are you still running? I was an active sportsman when I was an undergraduate student. So 1 year, they were asking about publication. Next year, no need publication. And then you are promoted. This is government universities all over the world. Right? If they want you, they don't ask any question. If they don't want you, they ask so many questions you can answer. Same in Malaysia, okay? That's how I ended up being a lecturer in 1999. 1999 to 2003, I was an lecturer, and then in 2003, I was promoted to an associate professor, okay? Which is a very short period of time. In USM, it is quite tough to get promoted within 5 years. Okay? So I served as associate professor from 2003 to 2011. I got promoted only in 2011. It took me about 8 years from the time I became an associate professor to a full professor. One of the reasons is I did not do my PhD. I'm the rare ones in Malaysia who does not have a PhD. Okay? But I'm a full professor, having graduated more than 92 PhD students. Okay? So they were holding me back for 8 years because I did not do my PhD. But finally, in 2011, they decided I had enough publication for the post. So that is how I became a full professor in 2011. Okay. And then during that time, I also served as Deputy Dean for Research, Chairman, and so on. I actually don't like to do admin work. Admin work takes up a lot of your time. You cannot do your research. Okay, so that is how my career progressed. Currently, this period of 20 to 24, my target is to publish in Web of Science Q1, Q2. Okay, like you were saying, how many percent, right? In USM, what happens is, let's say we publish 200 papers in Scopus, you must have 20% of the 200 in Web of Science Q1, Q2. Okay? And that is about 40 papers in Web of Science Q1, Q2. So beginning of the year, the dean calls me and tells me, you don't have to publish 40, yeah? But I want 2/3 of that from you. So I'm the only one who is contributing to 2/3 of the Web of Science publication. Most people target Scopus because easier. Okay? That's the situation I'm currently into. Okay. So again, when we first started, we are always a beginner. Somehow you have to pick up and then you become a master. So all the masters you have now, they were actually beginners. When I first started in 1999, I call myself an accidental researcher. I never planned to do research. I was forced to do research, remember? I was forced to, because in 1999, I didn't get my promotion. And the Deputy Vice Chancellor said, you need to publish or else you will not progress, right? So I started writing my first paper in 1999. I published my first journal article in year 2000. First journal paper. And then 2001, I thought I was already very good. No? So I submitted a paper to a journal in the US. It's called International Journal of Information Management. Those days, we have to hard copy 3 copies, put in an envelope, send to the publisher, and then wait every month, see whether the review come back. And then after 6 months, the review came back. When I read the review, I couldn't sleep for 3 days. The review was so bad. I still have it in my drawer. My first paper. Okay. After that, I have phobia. For 5 years, I didn't submit to any international journal. Now I think about it, I say I'm stupid lah. Dulu tak pandai kan? You get shocked. Suddenly you realize like you are not a researcher. Then I get a phobia. So what I did was I submit to a local journal, Indonesian journal, Thai journal, in Bangladesh, Pakistan. 5 years it took me to recover. In 2006, I read papers from Emerald and Serbia. I found I also can write like this. Why not try again? That is why I started writing in 2007. After that, I realized it is not very difficult. The problem is we always think it's difficult. So when we think difficult, it becomes automatically difficult. Okay? So you need to try. Okay? You need to try. So some of my students, I always encourage them to try top journals. If cannot, then we can go down. So you try higher level journal, then you go down. Don't try the lower level journal, you make a mistake. Then you get accepted, right? You lost one paper. So that's how I progress. Okay, currently I'm visiting adjunct in many universities. One of them is Universitas Indonesia. Okay. I'm also visiting professor there for a year. Recently, I got appointed as honorary professor at the University of Jordan. So why this is happening is many universities also need citation. And I have lots of citation. So they need me for that. So they appoint me for that part of the deal. So you just put your name in some of our papers, affiliation, then they also get. So I will skip this. So this is what the moderator was telling you about the applied structural equation modeling. So this is the journal I edit. And I'm also editor of another journal which is called Asian Academy of Management Journal. If you look at the board, editorial board, these are the who's who in the world. Now we have a Malaysian journal with a guy called Joseph Hare. Hare is a very famous name in multivariate data analysis. Sangat terkenal. There's a guy called Venkatesh. He's a big name in technology adoption. Anything to do with technology. So that's the journal I'm editing. This was our former VC, and what she said was this, I urge more prolific authors to come forward and strive for the university and the country. All the efforts put in and recognition being accorded will surely show to the world what we are capable of doing, as the world needs to be aware and informed of our capability. This is what you need to do. If you write one good journal in one good paper in the top journal in your area, people will notice. Everywhere I travel, people recognize me because of that. I publish in some of the top journals in my area. Okay? So when you go to the conference, they will realize, oh, this person is coming from a country where they don't have good people who can publish. So if you stand out, remember, you're one of the many, right? So that's one of the things you need to do. Okay, like the moderator said, you need to publish and disseminate. You write, especially for those who are doing PhD and masters, right? You claim you are doing original research. Original research must be publishable, right? So somehow you must get them out. Okay, so I will skip this. Okay, how to measure impact? Previously, we were looking at total number of papers, right? The more papers you have, you are a good researcher. Now they're saying many of the papers you are writing for yourself because nobody cites your paper. Okay? So you write more papers, nobody citing your paper. That means there's no value in the paper. So now we have moved from number of publication to number of citation and a value called H index, right? Okay. Do you know what is a H index? Okay, this is the number of citation you get with a different number of authors. So if you have single author, then you have certain number of citation, one author, two author, three author, right? If you write with more than three authors, citation will go down. Malaysia kami panggil penerbitan gotong royong. Paper dia 7 muka surat tapi ada 10 penulis. That's not very good, no? Okay. Early in my career, I was forced to do that because my dean said you must help your colleagues. So we will have 5, 6 authors. But those papers don't get cited a lot. 3, 4 authors, that's it. No? Okay. Yeah, okay. Then we have this term called the click. Click. Next, there's a mouse. Okay. No, you have to click on the screen because the mouse is on. Okay, thank you. Okay, this concept of H index was developed by this guy called S.Hut from University of California. What it means is this. Let's say you have a H index of 15. What it means is you have 15 papers cited at least 15 times. Okay, 15 papers cited 15 times. So this is how the calculation is done. We have 3 authors here, author A, author B, and author C, right? Author C has the highest citation, 577. But if you see the citation of author C, the H index of author C is only 5. Author A has the lowest, right? But he has a higher H index because he consistently has 6 papers cited at least 6 times. Okay? So for author B to get H index of 6, the paper number 6, he must have 6 citations. Baru you will move to 6. Okay? Similarly, for author number C, if paper number 6 gets 6 citations, then only he gets a H index of 6. So the more consistently you are cited, then your H index will move up. Okay. Kepahaman dia dah. Okay, here we have one author. He has one paper cited 1,000 times. What will be his H index? One, right? Okay. One, because he has only one paper cited 1 time. If you have another second paper, 2 citations, then it becomes 2. Because 2 and 2. Macam itulah kiraannya. So as your H index goes up, your papers are cited more consistently. Okay. So in Malaysia we have 3 H index we need to track. The Ministry of Education wants us to track 3 H index. Number 1 is your Google Scholar. This will be the highest, right? Because Google Scholar, they track all citation. TC citation, newspaper citation, whatever. So that's why it will be the highest. The second one will be your Scopus, right? This one will go down, especially in our area, the numbers will go down. Sciences, they're higher, but in social sciences, if you get 50, you're already a different level. I still remember I went to Universitas Indonesia, the rector introduced me as a pencapaian yang agak luar biasa dalam bidang kita. In social sciences, it is much more difficult to get that kind of H index because not many people are publishing now either, and they need to cite the paper. Okay, so that is Scopus. And the third one is your web website. Ini lagi sukar. Ini paling sukar. Okay, if you get in Malaysia, if you have 250 citations, you're already considered an elite researcher in social sciences. 250 citations saja. Okay, so this is the most difficult because you need to publish a paper in Web of Science, and somebody else is publishing a paper in Web of Science must cite the paper. If you publish in Web of Science, it's cited in index journal, they are not counted. That is why it's much more difficult. So those are the 3 types of journals. So publication, we have conference paper and journal paper. So for conference paper in Malaysia, we don't count anymore. Do you count here? Conference papers? Masih dikira?
Conference paper. Yeah, we have.
No, masih dikira sebagai KPI.
Yeah.
In Malaysia, we don't count anymore. In research universities, we don't count conference paper at all.
Yeah, that's good.
We don't count conference paper at all.
So even the proceeding like
At all.
by Scopus.
Not counted at all. They have already moved away from conference paper. Only for those non-research universities, they may count, but they are counted very low. Conference paper, no more funding. So we have stopped there. So we have index journal, right? So we have 2 types of indexing body. One is called Scopus, the other one is called Web of Science. Previously, we were focused on Scopus. Now we have already migrated to Web of Science. Okay, okay. We also have another Malaysian index called MySite. This is also counted in terms of our KPI to promote Malaysian journal. Okay, so kami ada 3. So in Malaysia, we have the highest level is your Web of Science, and then we have Scopus. The third one is ERA. ESCI not counted. Okay, ESCI not counted, because we consider only the main Web of Science. That's the situation. So for Scopus Index Journal, how do you find the Scopus Index Journal? You can go to this webpage called Simago. In Malaysia, we don't track the Q1, Q2. As long as you publish in any Scopus journal, they are counted. Okay, like in Indonesia, you like to publish in Q1, Q2 Scopus, right? In Malaysia, any journal in Scopus, they are fine. Okay. But you can also look at the list, and this list can be different area of research and different country also. Okay. So this is the main Simago. The problem with this Simago is it is only updated up to 2022. Okay, 2022. We have another list available we can download from here, which is called Scopus Content. This is how it looks like. Right? This is the list of journals still in Scopus, May 2023. Okay, May 2023. Yeah. Okay. If you see at the list, they also have some tabs, right? There is a tab called Scopus Discontinued in July. So these are journals already discontinued from Scopus in July 2023. So before you submit, you have to look at this list, because or else you're wasting your paper. Okay, this journal called Journal of Professional Business Review. It was in Scopus, but if you see there's a volume number, issue number, right? That was the last volume number, issue number index in Scopus. After that, if your paper is published in the next issue, they are not in Scopus. If you publish before the issue, you can still count as Scopus. After the issue, no longer in Scopus. Okay, so that's why this list is important. Okay, for those who are beginning to publish in your career, we have another tab, right? Accepted titles in July 2023. These are very new journals just accepted into Scopus. Competition is very low. Not many people know. So if you submit to these journals, chances of getting published is higher. Okay, that's the strategy, right? Okay. Although we have the main list, you can also look at the newly added list, right? Those are journals you can target. No? So this is what we call as the Scopus Index. No? Next, we have this Thomson Web of Science. Thomson Web of Science previously was with Thomson Reuters, and now it's taken over by Clarivate, right? Okay, so this is where you can go to Web of Science. We have three main lists. Now we have four. Social Science Citation Index, Science Citation Index, Arts and Humanities Citation Index, and now they added Emerging Source Citation Index. In Malaysia, Emerging Source Citation Index tidak dikira.
Why?
They said this is a lower level. It's actually a business strategy of Web of Science. What they have done this year is they have also included impact factor for ESCI, which is very confusing. So many people say that they have impact factor 5.1, but they are actually in JCI. Dia ada dua kategori. Di Malaysia, ESCI tidak dikira. So if you have an impact factor from ESCI, not counted. Only JCR, SSCI, and SCIE. These are the two we count. Okay? These are the two we count. Okay? So how do you get them is, if you go to this Inside Journal Citation Report, we can actually look at this list of 21,522 journals. We can actually do filtering. Let's say you are in some area like forestry. You can click that link called forestry and they will link you all the journals which are in Web of Science Q1, Q2. Okay, this is some of them. So how do they calculate the impact factor? It's like this. This is a journal called Journal of Innovation and Knowledge. What they do is they calculate impact factor every June. Every June. So the number of papers, the number of citations you receive in the last 2 years divided by number of papers published in the journal for the last 2 years. Okay. As the number goes up, those journals are considered very prestigious. This is what we are focusing on in Malaysia. Impact factor. Okay. So itu pengiraan dia. So every year it changes. Okay. Every year it changes. Okay. So for the journal portal, we also have different categories. Like this journal is in business and management. Sometimes they are in Q1 in business, but they are Q2 in management. What we do in Malaysia is we take the highest rank. So if they are in one area Q1, we consider them to be Q1. That's the system we have in Malaysia. Okay.
Habis. Sebagai receh, bayar ke 20.000 besok.
That's the usual problem. Okay, this is a list that you can download. Let's say in business, you can see the journal list, and if you see there's a SSCI and also ESCI. Okay, ESCI there is also an impact factor, right? But that is not counted. Itu mengelirukan. I don't know why they are doing that. But this is how you get the list. So if you are going to operation management and management science, then you have a different list. Q1, Q2. So we can also look at this list to target your journal. Okay, target your journal. Okay, for Web of Science, you can also look at the journal website. So this is how in many journals they try to highlight this journal is prestigious. If you look at the impact factor 9, right? This is already very high. They will click mute on.
Yeah, mute all.
On time. Okay, so these are some of the places you can get the list of your impact. And this changes every June. Setiap June. Sorry. Okay. The other types of publication you have is books, chapter in the books, book reviews, commentary, and interviews. Books are very good to have in your CV, but it takes a long time to write. No? Okay. Especially in Indonesia, if you write a book, you get a big market, right? You get royalty. Yeah? Okay. This is the book I wrote many years ago, which is selling very well. And it also gets citation. This is a very, very popular book in Malaysia. We wrote in 2018. And it also gets lots of citation. Now, currently it's 1,300, I think. Just the book. Okay. So that's one way to get published. Edited books. Have anybody tried editing books? Ada. No?
Ongoing.
Okay. We have many publishers yang they have this opportunity to edit books. You become the editor, but the chapters are written by somebody else. You call for chapters. That's one way. Chapters in a book is the easiest. For those who are doing masters or a PhD, chapter in a book is where you submit a chapter even without data. You can do some secondary research and then you submit to a chapter in a book. These are some of the publishers you can get.
Ya,
Mungkin di mute all dulu. Klik mute to all. Terus habis itu yang
Okay, these are some of the publishers you can look at. IDI Global, Emerald, CRC Press, and those kind of things. So those are some of the avenues for publication. Okay. Do you have questions or we continue?
No, you can continue.
Okay.
Perhaps around 10 minutes ahead.
Okay, next is motivation. Many people ask me, how do I motivate myself? No one can motivate you unless you motivate yourself. Okay, this is something you must remember lah. Kita tunggu orang untuk motivate kita sampai bila lah. You need to motivate yourself. Okay, for publishing models, in 2017 we had a conference in Sarawak called SASEM. And during that SASEM conference, this guy called Peter Seddon attended the conference as a keynote speaker. So I was doing a publication workshop with Marco Sastet. Marco Sastet is a very famous guy in Smart PLS. Do you use Smart PLS?
Yeah, I use. Even I said yours work once for
This
my.
guy is very famous, Marco Sastet. So during the post-conference workshop, I was doing the morning session. Marco was doing the afternoon session. And then Peter Seddon actually summarized the kind of publishing model we have. Number one is this. This is called the roulette table model. This is what I was doing early in my career. You don't have strategy at all. You write a paper, you submit to the nearest journal you find. Not good strategy, because you submit to all the not so good journals, right? Okay, that's a bad strategy, but I did that early in my career. Okay, not a good strategy. The second one is a social influence model. This is where you have a good networking with journal editors or special issue guest editors. Okay, the reason is special issue guest editors, they can appoint the reviewer they want. So if you are known to the editor, they can send to a reviewer who is a nicer reviewer. Okay, so that's the system we have. 2 reviews positive, they can already accept the paper. Okay, so that's another publishing model we have. The third one is the guru co-author model. This is where you write to somebody who is very well known in your area, and then you work on a paper. If you publish a paper with people who are well known, your visibility gets a boost, right? How many of you have tried that? Ada?
Depend on their professor, I think. Supervisor, yeah, academic supervisor.
You can email, okay, this is what I have done for many years.
Yeah.
When you are beginning in your career, nobody knows you. So you need to write emails, lots of emails. If they accept, okay. If they don't accept, okay lah. 1-2 days you get a bit of heartache lah. They rejected you, right? But you may get lucky. So I've had some luck publishing paper with some big names. Okay, but you don't want to get into a situation that your papers are all written with these people. Then people doubt your capability. 1-2 papers is okay. So that's like these two guys. Number one is Viswanath Venkatesh. This is the guy who developed TEM2, TEM3, U-Tout2. The second one is a guy called David Kenny. He wrote a paper called Barron and Kenny 1986. That paper has 130,000 citations.
Wow.
Can you imagine? If you are a co-author of a person with 130,000 citations, then your visibility goes up. But not very easy to do that. You must have a good paper. Okay, that's third strategy. Okay, number 4 is the strategy Peter Saden liked. He said, you write a good paper, you target the best journal you can find. Okay, and then submit to the journal and see what happens. If you don't get higher level journal, you go down. That's a strategy he liked. Okay, number 5, we have another model called publishing cartel model. This is also happening in Malaysia currently, where they have 4 or 5 authors working together. They rotate the authorship.
Yeah. In Indonesia, we call this arisan. Arisan.
That's another strategy. But some people are very successful because they have very good network. So what they do is they target all the top journals. First paper, one person is the main author, the others are co-authors, and then they rotate. Then they get visibility in terms of citation. Okay, so those are publishing models you have. Okay. Next is writing the paper. This is the most difficult part. You will say, I will write tomorrow, right? And then the tomorrow never comes. I will write tomorrow, and then the tomorrow is already 5 years. I also have many colleagues who are like that. I also have PhD students who are like that. Prof, I will write next week. Next week. Sudah 3 tahun. PhD satu paper tak keluar. That's the biggest problem. Okay. This is what it says. Thinking about writing is a writing. Talking about writing is a writing. Thinking about writing is a writing. Dreaming of fantasizing. Ini ramai PhD student buat lah. Neither are outlining, researching, or making notes. All those may be part of the whole milieu of the writing. But only writing is writing. Okay, you must sit around writing. This is important. My PhD student, if they want to come and discuss, if they don't have anything written, I don't want to meet them. Because every time they come, they have a story. Next time they come with a different story. The story goes on. So at least you have something written, I will write. And then we have an agreement. These are the changes we need to make. Okay, so that's how writing is important. And also we see many people who are very busy all the time, right? Every time you see them, they say they are very, very busy. And what Hemingway said is this, never mistake motion for action. Some people are busy all the time, end of the year, don't have any output. It is strange, right? Busy people should have better output, right? But that's not happening. Okay. One of the suggestions for those who are beginning in your career is you need to invest in your career. You need to invest in your career. What I see is many of my colleagues don't do that. Okay. Your office is like your second home.
Yeah.
I go to office usually 7:30 in the morning. I don't leave my office before 7 every day.
Oh.
I've been doing this last 31 years. Okay. Every day. And my wife already tell me, I buy you a mat, you can sleep in the office. She has already come to that situation. This is how my office looked like 20 years ago. What I did was I invested in a screen which is so large, right? You can see 27 inch. This is not from the university. University only gives you a very small screen, very difficult to see. So I invested in this. We have a separate scanner, we have a separate printer that time. And then I migrated to this. This is now a 6-feet table. So I invested in a 6-feet table with the L shape. And then I have the same screen, but now I have a different printer, right? All in one. I can do scanning, printing, faxing, everything. So I don't have to leave my office. Okay? And these are some of the cards I get from people I help. I have lots of PhD students. So after they finish, they send me a card, right? I put there. So my wife comes to my office and says, your office is very messy with all the cards. But it's actually interesting. After some time when you read the message from the people who you have helped, that actually motivates you. Okay? Motivates you. Okay, this is how my office will look like when you come into the office. Okay, you need to make your office conducive to work. Even if you have cubicle, you have to make that as conducive as possible. Huh? So currently, I'm already about to retire, right? So I've thrown away a lot of materials in my office. Huh? It looks very clean, right? Okay. I also invested in a bigger screen. Huh? Now I have a screen which is 40 inches curve. Huh? Okay, so I can do very big screen, right? No need to see, huh? And then during the pandemic, we had to invest in webcam, microphones, so many things. Huh? I also invested in a chair, huh? Because you sit long in your office, right? Office don't give you good chair, right?
Yes.
Okay, you need to buy your own chair. Huh? So that's what I did. And I also invested in this, huh? Because we were doing online classes. Huh? I actually don't like online classes. Huh? Very little interaction. I don't know whether they actually understand. Huh? Face-to-face is better. Huh? So I invested in this whiteboard because I like to write on the board. Huh? Okay. So that's something you need to do in your career. Okay. Writing the paper, structure of a paper generally is like this. Depends on your area also. But you need to write the paper. So we will not have time to discuss this. So somehow you have to write the paper. One of the important things is title. Title has to be catchy. Okay, title has to be catchy. Yeah. Okay. If you see now, there are titles like this. Are men from Venus, women from Mars. Okay? And then we have titles like Elephant in the Room, which are very interesting, right? That catches the audience. The second thing you need to do is in your introduction, you need to write what is your contribution. What is your contribution? What is new in your model or what is new in your study? That is the selling point. Once your introduction tells you why your paper is important, it gets to review. Okay, and what gets you published is your discussion. Okay, and we have problem with these two sections, right? Because literature review, methodology, and analysis, we are already very good. No? Most developing countries, we are very good at it. No? But to write a story why your paper is important and what did you find interesting, those are the two parts we need to focus on. Okay? But if you are a lecturer, then you can focus on some collaboration. No? We have Western counterparts who can write the story very well. So what I do is I work with them. No? I have a paper, they come in to polish the discussion and the introduction. Then you get published in a better journal. Okay, and that's one thing you can do. Okay, where do you get ideas for writing? How many of you review papers? Do you review papers? Yes? No?
Yes.
You need to review papers because when you review papers, you put on a different hat. When you read your own paper, everything very nice, right? Cantik semua. When you read another person's paper, your microscope comes in, right?
Yes.
Where can I find the mistake, right? That's a different hand. You get training how to identify that. Why it's important is sometimes these papers have good ideas. We can actually borrow from them for our next research. Okay, that's one thing. You can also look at Google Scholar Alert. What I do is I follow some of the big names in my area. And when they publish a paper, they send me the copy. This is the paper published. So I will read what is the topic they are looking at. You can also look at your colleagues, work with your colleagues, your own department or outside your department. How many of you work outside your department? Okay, this is the other problem we have also in Malaysia. You like to work with your own department.
Yes.
Ya, minda tidak berkembang, kena kolaborasi. Kena, bukan kolaborasi letak nama saja. Salah. Because when you work with people outside your institution, you get different experience. They have different understanding. So I started doing that for some time now. So that's where the quality goes up. And you can also look at Google Scholar profile of other researchers in your area. Some of them are very good at identifying journal. So they have already done their homework, right? You just borrow from them. Dia ada jurnal-jurnal yang tertentu. So you just see the journal, then you target those journal. I also do that. Because sometimes there are so many journals, right? How do we identify them? There are some other authors in your own country, right? They have already published in the journal, so we can target them. So that's one of the strategy. Yeah. Okay. Now we cannot work alone in research. Yeah. You need to have a team. Okay. If you have a postgraduate student, then it's good. Or you can collaborate, local or international. International collaboration is slightly more difficult unless you know them. If you go to conference, you meet them and then work with them, then it's okay. Yeah. Wow. So I think I have lots of slides still to cover. Okay, let me see. Yeah. Okay, advice to get published. Yeah? If you are planning to submit to a Web of Science journal, what will happen is you get 3 or 4 revision. The longest it took me was 3 years before one paper was published. Okay, 5 revision. Okay, so revise, resubmit, revise, resubmit. That's the practice. No choice. Okay, this is the story of what we did with this paper. We had a paper in a journal called Technovation. After 3 years, 5 revisions, still under review. And then this guy is the chief editor of the journal called Jonathan Linton. He was coming from Hong Kong to Singapore. One of my co-authors said, let's hijack him to USM. So what we did was we brought him to USM to give a talk, and then we took him for lunch. During lunch, we asked him, we have this paper in your journal, already 3 years, 5 reviews, can you do something about it? And then 1 month later, it came online. That is what we call networking, right? Okay. Somehow you need to also do that. Okay. And one of the things I do is this. This is a journal I've been trying for 9 years before I got my first paper. Okay. I started submitting in 2008, got rejected. And then finally, 2017, I got accepted. Why I was trying this journal for a long time is there are many Malaysian authors who have published in the journal. And I got rejected. So saya geram. Okay. I was trying. And I was so upset until I actually wrote to the chief editor to become one of my co-authors. He didn't reply. He didn't reply. But 2017, I got a paper published. This is the paper. But my PhD student submitted 1 paper, 3 revision got accepted.
I see.
In the same journal. Saya 9 tahun. Baru 1 paper. 9 paper, dapat 1 paper publish. But my student 1 paper submit, 3 revision dapat accept. So professor also kena reject. So you have to take it. So this is a paper my student wrote. Okay. So problem with reviewers is they don't have time for you. Most of the time, like if you see this paper that I submitted after 2 years review, this is what the reviewer wrote. In a world where I can devote all of my time to helping colleagues produce better papers, I think this would be one that we could shepherd along. I think that the enjoyment concept and its relation to ease of use are promising topics, but I'm afraid this is not that work. So he rejected the paper. He said, I don't have time to do that. And he rejected after 2 years. So these are some of the reviews you will get. Okay, co-authors. Okay, this is something I was telling you earlier. You can write emails to co-authors to ask them to write papers with you, right? But you must have a paper ready before you invite them. Okay, so this is one of the papers I co-wrote with somebody from Kuwait. I needed somebody to do the analysis at that time. 2008, I don't know what was structural equation modeling. In 2008, I only used SPSS. So I had a revision and I don't know how to do SEM. So I invited somebody from Kuwait to do that. Okay. So this is the email, and this paper was already submitted. And when I was revising, I cannot add author. So what I did was I wrote an email to the editor to ask for permission. Then he said, okay, that's how the paper got published. So I've been writing emails to many of these people. Netcock, how many of you know Netcock? Okay. Netcock is the developer of a software called WAP-PLS. There's a software called WAP-PLS. So he's the developer of the software. And then we wrote the paper together. We have a guy called Ringler, the guy who developed the software called Smart PLS, right?
Yes.
Okay, I wrote an email and then they accepted this publication. We also wrote a paper with Jose Luis Roldan from Spain in a journal called Journal of Travel Research. So this was the successful one. I also started writing to this guy called Hensela. So the mistake I did with this invitation was I didn't have a paper ready. So when I wrote the email, he said, okay, but I had a paper ready after 3 months. And next, after the paper was ready, I wrote in an email, he said, I'm already full for the year. So I lost the opportunity because I didn't have a paper ready. So silap lah, okay. Another guy I wrote to is this guy called James Gaskin. He's a very famous YouTuber for analysis, SPSS, AMOS, PLS. So I actually wrote him an email asking to become a co-author, but he declined because he said the paper cannot get published in a top journal. In US, they have tier 1, tier 2. They only accept tier 1, tier 2. So that's one of the problems with this collaboration. Okay, so I will go to, since I have shortage of time. Okay, so I will show you these papers. The type of papers you can write. We have papers that you can review theories. When you're doing your study, you look at the theories, put the theories together, write a paper. This is published in a Scopus journal. Okay. Second paper is literature review. Since you are writing long literature review, you can summarize them into a paper published in a journal. The third one is systematic literature review. This one you have to have a protocol. You have to have coverage, right? From what year to what year, what topic you are doing. That also can be published in a journal. Okay, this is what we call as a short paper. Okay, there are some journals where you can publish short papers, 3 pages, 4 pages only. Okay. My PhD student has 2 papers in this journal. Short, 3 pages only. You don't need data. You don't need data. Just do some desk research about the topic. Here she was looking at a term called organizational resilience. So dia ada 2 paper on this topic alone. Okay, we also have letter that you can write and also replication paper. This is the easiest. How many of you do replication papers? Anybody? Paham apa itu replication paper? Awak dari planet mana? Okay. Replication paper is this. You take a paper from the Western country, same model, same data, everything, but you do it in Indonesia. You can still get published in Web of Science Journal. This is published in a Web of Science Journal. Model is the same. Only thing, my argument is, I have a bigger sample size, I have a better analysis, I have a different culture. Model masih sama, questionnaire sama, semua sama.
But we have to cite the original.
Yeah, I've written here, adopted from. And the note to adopted from.
Oh, yes, yes.
So model is exactly the same, but it still got published in a Web of Science Journal. Many of my papers are replication papers.
Like a book edition,
Dia model sama, questionnaire sama, tapi konteks dia lain. Buat di Indonesia. Model daripada US, daripada UK ya. Kita ambil model tu, kita collect data di Indonesia, run the analysis, and then argue why there will be some differences. Tapi model semua sama. That also can be published. That's the easiest to do. Not for your master's or a PhD lah, but as a paper you can do that. Okay? That's what I've done for many of my papers.
it's only for, methodology, yeah.
You have a better methodology, you have bigger sample size, those are all requirements. We are testing the theory in a different setting. Itu boleh publish in good journal. Okay? In good journals. Okay? So for targeting journals, I have what we call as a dream list. Macam ni lah. So I have this list, and this list will change over your career. In 2020, I had a list, right? Yang biru itu sudah publish. The red one is the one I was targeting. The red one I've been targeting from the time I started until today. Still don't have a paper published. A government information quarterly. Okay. Yang hitam itu was my target in 2020. 2021, I got the paper published in that journal, Journal Knowledge Management, so it's already out. But if you see there's a red color MIS quarterly. MIS Quarterly is like the #1 journal in my area. I don't think so. I will ever submit that lah. Maybe in the future. Itu kira tahap Dewa Dewi. Dewa Dewi. Yes. Okay. Susah sikit lah. This journal, Government Information Quarterly, the editor is a good friend. I've tried so many times. And from the time I started until today, I still don't have a paper. I'm still trying. Okay, that's what I call as the dream list. So this is 2022. This is the list of journal I'm targeting still. And 2023, I have a different list. All these journals I've already published. Now I have a new list of journal I want to target. I don't publish in the same journal over and over again. Then perception is you are good friend with the editor. Okay? So I try one journal, then I move to another journal. So that's a strategy. You can also have another additional list of topics which are not in your area. Like I do also research on environmental research. Those journals impact factor dia sangat tinggi. Tapi tak boleh lebih banyak paper dalam bidang lain daripada bidang sendiri. My area is technology adoption. I do a lot of research on technology. Then I also have this environment studies, which I do because of visibility. Impact factor dia sangat tinggi. Okay, so itu list untuk 2023 ya. Okay, for those who want to find journal, these are some journal finders. How many of you use journal finders? Bila cari journal,
Yes.
macam mana you cari journal? Okay, these are some journal finders you can use. Elsevier is my favorite. They will give you a list that you can search, and then they tell you what is the impact factor, what is the Scopus site score, how fast the paper is reviewed, and so on. They will give. So you can look at that. This is Web of Science. Then we have Wiley, Springer. These are possible journal.
Yeah, I think it's about
Okay.
but if you have something else to say, because your information is very.
Yeah, I have lots of things, but we are short of time. Ini submission strategy dia macam ni. Don't submit all to top journals. You may have a variation. Some you want KPI fast, you submit to a lower level journal, but you can also submit to a higher level journal. Okay, so I will skip this. Okay, this is the paper that one of my PhD students did. After he finished his PhD, he was submitting to 5 different journals. Semua kena desk reject. Okay? And then he came to see me and said, Prof, I think my PhD has a problem. I said, don't worry. We try another journal. And when he submitted to this journal, information system, impact factor 2.8 at the time. In 2 weeks, paper was reviewed and came online.
Okay.
Hari ini dalam sejarah. I've never had a paper accepted in 2 weeks. My student had a paper accepted in 2 weeks. Okay? Because the editor liked the topic. Okay? Employee grumbling in ERP adoption. So you can be lucky because of the topic. Submitting our this. Okay, when you do review of the paper, when you get back a review, if you get a reviewer like this, very good. They will give you some good feedback. And if they give you long feedback, you should be very thankful because they give you feedback, right? But most of the time you get reviewers who are like this, right? When you review also lebih kurang lah, okay? You are trying to find fault. So what you can do is this is the 2 golden rule by Marco Susten. He says the reviewer is always right. If the reviewer is not right, see rule number 1. Reviewer is always right. Selalunya bila when the review come in like we have a Captain America shield, right? Motor pace. I did this in one of my paper in Journal of Hospitality and Tourism Technology. I was very upset with the reviewer. So I wrote a very harsh reply. The associate editor is one of my ex-PhD students. So he wrote me, said, can you tone down your comments? I said, I am not interested. Let it go. It got rejected. Most reviewers will reject if you don't reply to the reviews. And when you reply to review, you must have like table like this. What is the comment? What is the reply? And I always see reviews, authors writing this. This is the comment, and they say done, 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 done. I will also say done and reject, because I don't want to go and read your paper. Just write down what you did. Okay.
Yes.
So in the material I gave you, I have a reply to some of the reviews that I've done. You can see there's a long reply, because you want the reviewer to read the comments, not the paper. What I changed. Then he will make a decision to accept or not. No? So that's one thing you can do.
Yeah.
I think I will stop here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Ramayah, for this enlightenment insight ya. Sangat luar biasa ya, from A to Z. Then it seems that we already have several questions here. So those audience want to ask questions in this room, you can raise your hand and ask directly. And those from who join our session from the Zoom meeting facility, you can just write your questions in the chat room and I will read for you. We only have 15 minutes left for this question and answers sessions, so we'll make it concise and clear. And actually in the chat room, we already received one question. It's about how to make an eye-catching title. Is there any specific rule? And
there's no specific rule, but you can look at other papers, like already published in your area, what kind of title they have. The problem is many people like to write factors influencing, which is a common title, but you need to have titles which are more catchy. I have a co-author who is very good at that. So after writing the paper, this co-author will sit and think of a title before we submit.
okay.
Now I do that for my students. So after they finish, I look at their topic and then I come up with a title.
I see. Okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah, Prof. Anuraga.
Okay, thank you very much for your entire presentation. So I have a question. When we supervise postgraduate students, also PhD students, sometimes we need also to balance between the length of study, also 3 years, at least 3 years. Also, what of the journals do we have any tips on how to balance between this? Sometimes when we target really good journal, then it takes time.
That's one of the challenges. I also say that to our deans of the university. The problem is if you want to target good journals, it takes a long time for review and acceptance. But you need 2 papers before you can graduate. Now in Malaysia, what happens is you can finish all your correction, viva and all, but you cannot graduate without 2 papers. They will hold you back. You cannot go to convocation. Okay, so if you need 2 papers, beginning your career, when the students start, I always tell them, we look for easier journals to write review paper. Review paper. Sometimes you do pilot test, right? You can also write a short paper using the pilot test. Look for easier journal for the requirement. So one of my Palestinian students said, Prof, I will write these 2 papers quickly into my side journal for requirement of my PhD. And then I've done that. Later, I will focus on better journal.
See, okay.
I think in the folder that I shared, you have a folder of Scopus target journal.
Yes.
These are not very difficult journal.
Yes.
When my dean took over, she asked me to give a talk to help the colleagues. Can you provide a list of journal that is not very difficult? So I have about 150 journals in the list. Scopus target, I think, in the folder.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And the Miss Rosniati asked you one question. Professor Ramayah, could you please give us tips how you write? Can you give us tips the powerful cover letter? for the journal
Oh,
editors?
it's,
What's we write in the cover letter, for example?
normally in the cover letter, I have a folder called sample, which I give broken down the cover letter. We have the author's page, the manuscript, table and figure. These are the 5. I think there's a sample in the folder.
Okay, okay, so we can get that folder later.
Folder I share.
Okay, so and we also can share that with the audience.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll send this folder with all of you later. And then the other questions. Thank you, Professor, for the great insight. Do you also get involved with the administration work, like, for example, accreditations and other organizing committee? Because that's what happened in IPB here. So we're not only thinking about how to write, how to do research, but also some administration. This is
I already mentioned when I first started, I was the chairman of the section. But at that time it was not very demanding. Now admin works is very demanding. I think this accreditation and so on. So I was not holding position up to 2020. So if you see, my number of publication was going up. Then in 2021, they appointed me as chairman for 3 departments. And suddenly my number of publication went down. Okay, no time. Because now everyone else problem becomes your problem.
yes.
Okay, so that's one of the things I find. So somehow, if you are given an admin post, you need to balance. If you have a good student, then you have to work with your student. I have many good students because they come because you have a good profile. So they also want to have a better profile when they leave the program. So that's how you can work. It's very difficult to work on your own. I doubt many of you will be writing your own papers individually, right? Not easy.
Yes, it's not easy.
Yeah.
So at least now I know your strategy, because I can't hear at least you have more than 25 papers, publication per years, yeah?
More than 50.
Yeah, more than 50. More than 50 publication per year, yes, okay.
25 is Web of Science, I think.
Yes,
So
in the Web of
Web of Science is 25. Scopus, I've stopped tracking.
Yes. Okay, so this is another one. Questions. Professor Ramayah, I'm a PhD student at IPB Business School. I have followed you since ICO 2023, where I have presented my paper on mobile banking in Indonesia. You mentioned that you are going to retire. Are you still interested in publishing a paper together in the future? This is a direct proposal.
I get lots of invitation. Usually, I will look at the paper because what happens is I get lots of invitation from random people because they know me. And you also don't want to get into trouble because I've seen some papers, the results are really good. But when I ask for the data never comes. I like to work on the data first to see whether the data is okay before we can move on with the paper. Because sometimes you see the results so nice, you doubt whether the data is actually collected or not. So I like to work on the data first before I decide. So if you have a paper, you can send to me and the data. So because what I do is sometimes I extend the analysis so that the paper becomes, in terms of method, is more rigorous. Okay, 2 things I find many students have problem, even during the presentation. One is your theoretical understanding. Number 2 is your methodology. These 2 must fit together. I think in the folder that I shared with you, you have 2 papers. There's a guy called Aguinis, Herman Aguinis. He has very good papers on this issue. I think there are 2 papers which are very new. One is talking about theory, methodological rigor. The other one is on theoretical rigor. These 2 things I find quite weak. Like the last 2 days, I was in the ICRTH. There was a PhD student from some university. She was saying in Indonesia we need a grand theory, we need a middle theory, we need another theory. I said, why do you need that? To develop your model, you need a theory. Okay. Sometimes you can work with one theory.
Yes.
So she has three theories. And then what happened is two of the other theories, she only take one variable from the theory called intention. So she said, I have three theories, but the other two theories, only one variable is taken from the theory. That's not theory.
Oh, I see.
Theory is a collection of variables put together to explain a certain phenomenon, right?
Yes, yes.
So it's a collection of variables,
Yes.
not one variable. That understanding, I think many has a problem with. So if you don't have a good theory to underpin your model, you don't have good analysis, very difficult to push the paper.
Yes.
So how I work on my paper is I run the analysis first before I write the paper.
Oh,
Because if you write the paper, then suddenly your analysis doesn't come out well. Very difficult to push the paper.
oh, okay. But I think to run the analysis and then write the paper is quite a little bit difficult with what we teach here in IPB. We usually write down the introduction and methodology and after that
No,
doing analysis.
but you still need to have a model, right?
Right.
You have a bigger model, you want to reduce the model. You already have this model. What we do is run the analysis. If the analysis comes out well, then we can say this paper can push. If you write everything up to chapter, up to the methodology, and then you run your analysis, it doesn't come out well. So you wasted the three sections, right? You're writing.
Yes.
So I work the other way around.
Okay. Okay. Okay, any other questions? We still have 5 minutes. Okay, please.
Thank you, sir, ma'am. I'm interested about your statement in about how a number of author in our journal, especially case in my research in dissertation. I have 5 co-promoter. I have 5. How about this case? Because and how about your trip or strategy for me special to confidence submit my manuscript because I have a 5 promoter.
Yeah, so he has 5 promoters and you said that, oh, better you have 3 or 4 authors in this.
Because you said just only 3 or 4.
Okay, in Malaysia, we have a system where we have a supervisor, maybe one more co-supervisor. So you have only 3 authors in the paper. So that's where you have an option to invite another person. But you already have 5, right? You cannot leave anyone out, then your life will be missed.
because
Yang itu susah. How come you have 5 promoters? Dan 5.
Bagaimana ada 5 promoters?
yeah, when the first commitment with my promoter
It's already 5.
5
5 promoters, including you, so it will be 6.
6
Okay.
lebih good collaboration.
Lebih banyak kepala, lebih canggih nih.
Yeah, maybe, but
Lebih pening.
the good. Maybe do you have
No,
strategy or
for your PhD, you have a minimum requirement, right? That you have to fulfill with all the authors.
Yes.
Tak ada pilihan.
Ada pilihan lain.
Tak ada pilihan lain.
With all the names because they have contribution in
Yeah.
dissertation.
Lepas Pak habis, then boleh.
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
And then this is from Adrian Sembayang. Again, thank you, Professor Ramayah. Thank you, Dekasra, for initiating the special session today. Okay, they want to have recording. Satyardi, Professor Ramayah, this is actually an idle question. Lately, I've heard of restrictions or ban on some publishers, including in Malaysia, for example, sustainability MDPI. What do you think about this condition? Because I also review sometimes for this MDPI, and actually this is a serious review what I did, and I don't understand why Malaysia banned this publisher.
This issue has been there for a long time. We have these 3 publishers called MDPI, Frontiers, and
Yes.
Hindawi.
Yes.
Hindawi, and they have this system where they actually push the review very fast. 7 days.
10 days.
7 days. I think they will harass you. If you don't provide the review within 7 days, they will send you email saying
Yes.
your review is overdue. and then your review is severely overdue, to make you feel very bad, but sometimes I just ignore them. After a while, you already realize they're actually trying to push the paper along. And there are some journals like sustainability, they take 2 weeks for acceptance, which is nearly impossible for a journal to me. So I stopped publishing in those journals and also submitting reviewing for the journal. Another one is called Frontiers. Frontiers charges $3,250 for a paper, which is big sum of money. But there are also Hindawi, I don't review at all. Frontiers I used to review, but they were really pushy. So I stopped reviewing for them. And the quality is also, how the system works is they send to 3 or 4 reviewers. When you reject the paper, you are no longer, you cannot see the review anymore. You already hidden. So the 3 reviewers who review, then they will accept. So that's the system they have. So that's why in Malaysia, we did not ban the journals. What the ministry has decided is we will not fund the EPC.
Okay.
If you want to pay on your own, it's up to you. We have not come to a ruling that we ban the journal. I think Indonesia also same, I think.
Yeah.
Brain.
Yeah.
Brain.
Brain.
Bank the Hindawi.
Yeah. And MDPI only sustainability, I think, but not for forest. MDPI forest is still work well. And this also the last question because it's already 10. Yeah. Among the strategies that you mentioned during your presentation, is there that you want to underline which strategies will be suited for this young researcher here because they are in their early stage of their career?
So for those who are the early stage of your career, most of the time you are working on your PhD study.
Yes.
So you have to also work with your supervisor. What you can do is you can look at your model. Some people start to break up the model. Okay, one paper for the review, one paper for the pilot study, one paper for some part of the model.
Yeah.
And what you need to do is you need to first identify journals which are not very difficult. Especially if you are writing conceptual paper, many journals don't like conceptual paper. Many of my students have problem with conceptual paper. So you need to identify journal that accept conceptual paper. When you already have data, many journals will accept. Okay, I've already given you a list of some of the journals. Okay, maybe I will also update later. Okay, maybe you can send me an email. I can give you some of the new journals that I found which are much more easier to get published in.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Ramayah. So it's already 10:01. So Mr. M, Master of Ceremony already sitting here, means that we have to stop this discussion. So I would like to thank you very much, Professor Ramayah, for your very insightful and very inspired discussion talk today. I hope after this we'll get very stronger semangat and self-esteem, in doing good research and publications. And so I think it's all that for this discussion, and time will be given back to Mr. Master of Ceremony. Thank you very much.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, give big applause once again for this event. I would like to invite Professor Anuraga to give the souvenir for our amazing speaker and moderator.
Okay.
I
think you send it.
Thank you very much. Are the collection of products from our university.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Ini
Okay.
Bu Efi.
Okay, I know this is not a discrimination, because I already have this bag, I already have this bag.
Produknya sama.
you, Prof.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, Professor Anuraga. Now, next agenda.
Some of your work in
Wow.
I'd
publication.
like to invite Prof. Anuraga again to give closing remarks.
Yeah, close.
So, Prof. Anuraga. Yes.
Sambil berdiri boleh.
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Ramayah, for your very inspiring talk, lecture for us. Yeah, hopefully we could motivate ourselves by enjoying your presentation. So we have seen that you are really motivated to do research and to publish your work in many top journals. So we hope that we could follow your steps. And for the participants here, students and lecturers, so let's work together to make our research works better and publish in high quality journals as have been motivated by Prof. Ramayah. So thank you very much for your participation both in offline and in online from Zoom. So let's meet again in another occasions. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bye.
And now we've come to the end of this event. On behalf of the host and committee, we would like to extend once again our deepest appreciation to all of you for your support and participation. Please fill the presence form that's shown on the screen once again. And then once again, thank you very much and good afternoon. See you guys on the next agenda. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Yang
I would like to invite all of you to come feature